What was the most cash you ever saw in person?
Oh, gosh.
I think the most I've ever seen is like 10K. I just don't.
10K?
Well, I've just
Oh,
never
no.
seen a lot of cash in my lifetime. I don't
Yeah,
even have a wallet.
you don't deal with cash,
I
yeah.
just have my phone. So
Probably 40, 50 million around there
in cash,
in cash, yeah. Yeah.
you've seen 40 or 50 million in cash.
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
Back in the 80s, early 80s.
Was it just in a room or something?
Yeah, it was in a room. Yeah.
How big does a room have to be to have 40 or 50?
That'd be pretty big because gas station money is small bills.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, listen, it got to a point with the cash where I used to come home and I used to get the fives and ones and I used to give them to my wife, say, give this to your brothers and sisters because I have no room for them. There's no place to put them. And I'd give her a couple of grand and say, yeah, just give it out. We'll keep the 20s and, the 10s. And it was, washing the money was an issue. I mean, once my wife went to the bank and I gave her, I don't know, thousands of dollars to deposit. And the banker said, why does your money always smell like gas? So my wife said, I'm not going to the bank anymore for you. She didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I never discussed it with her, never told her anything. I said, hey, I'm in this business. I'm a wholesaler. We have a lot of cash. You go to a gas station, they pay with cash. And I have as many credit cards as I have now. So it came to a point, I said, all right, I'll fix it. And I bought a refrigerator and I put baking soda in the refrigerator with the cash and that took the smell out. And she said, I never seen anything like that before. I said, well, gas, nobody wants to smell gas, but I made everything legitimate out of it. I never told her a thing that was going on, never.
Did you not? I always think when I read stories like this that if I was in that moment, I would live in a permanent state of fear that I might go to jail. So I'd take, I don't know, a couple of million and bury it somewhere. You're nodding. Is that what you did?
Well, listen, I was resourceful in that regard, but your plans don't always work out the way you want them to. I'll tell you one thing that really hurt me bad. I hired a lawyer that had just come out of the government, the prosecution's office. He was, as a matter of fact, he was almost on one of my cases, but he wasn't, so there was no conflict. But he just came out of the Eastern District of New York, which is Brooklyn, where my cases were, most of them. And so I hired him. And I said, John, I need one thing from you. I want to know when I'm going to be arrested or locked up or indicted on this gasoline case, because this was after my partner became a snitch. And he said, I'll never forget. He said, don't worry about it. June of 86, that's when it's going to happen. You got time, right? And this was like the middle of 85. I said, great. I got married in July of 85, right? I said, great, I got time. I have my own plane. I was moving things around, but I was figuring I had 7, 8, 9 months. Well, I got indicted in December of that year and no bail. So they kind of derailed a lot of my plan and strategy because I got locked up 6 months earlier than I thought. And so that was hurtful, I can tell you that.
What was your plan?
I was moving a lot of money around, quite honestly. Moving a lot of money around at different places and
physical money or?
Yeah. And money that I had put in certain places, I was taking it out and I was putting it. So I said, I never have to worry about anything again. I'm going to have to sit on this cash. Because another thing happened. My partner and I had a bank in Austria, and we were taking the federal tax money, 9 cents, and we were just putting it in that bank. And we opened up a bank account. He had half the number. It was a numbered account. He had half the number, I had half the number. Neither one of us knew the other half, right? We just did it. I came up with that. I said, let's make sure we have no temptation. It was more for him than for me, right? And we had about $33 million in that account. When he became a snitch, I got a hold of his son, Larry Jr. His name was Larry. And I said, tell your father, I'll fight him in court. Don't give up the money. It's our money. It's for you, your mother. Don't give up the money. Whatever happens, we'll worry about the court situation. Well, he testifies against me. He becomes an informant, goes to Holby. He never gives up the money, never gives up the account. He testifies against me in a Giuliani case. I get acquitted. Jury didn't believe him, right? We destroyed him on the stand. So now the government in the Eastern District, the other side in Brooklyn, said, you're worthless. You couldn't get a conviction on Francis, you're worthless. We're throwing you out of the program. You're done. He gets scared. He says, wait a second, there's more. He gives him the half of the number. The FBI goes to Austria, true story, goes to Austria and says, it's Mafia money. We have half the account number. We want it. Austria says, I don't care what money it is. You come with the full account number or you're not getting anything. Tells the FBI, they didn't care. They wouldn't give it up. Austria, not Switzerland, Austria, right? So now, when I get indicted and then negotiating the plea. Originally, they want to give me a $100 million fine and 25 years in prison. That was what we were negotiating. So my lawyer comes to me, he says, you're never going to get the money. It's done. It's over, it's finished. He says, give me the account number. It'll help me negotiate the plea down. I give it to him. They negotiate the plea from 25 years and $100 million down to 10 years and $15 million with a $5 million forfeiture clause, right? So it was very helpful in that regard. But we lost all that money. That was it. You know, it was meaningful. It wasn't everything, but it was meaningful. And when he cooperated, they gave him back $2.5 million out of that $33 million. So he profited a little bit out of it, at least.
Did you have anything buried in the ground?
Yes.
Physically buried in the ground?
In a safe, yes.
In a safe in the ground?
Safes, I would say.
Safes
yes.
in the ground?
Yes.
Up until you were released?
They were there, let's put it that way.
No, because it's what I think anyone with a brain would do, but if you don't know the timing of even if you didn't, I think if I was in that life, I'd live assuming that at some point I was probably going to have to do some time for something. So I bury it all over the place.
I will tell you this. They believe that I have a lot of money stashed someplace, to the point where they hired an investigator who wrote a book about it just to go and investigate and search. And this guy went around the world to different accounts that he thought I might have had money in. He wrote a book about it. And they couldn't identify it. They couldn't find it. But until today, I get plagued with that. They say, we know you got it. 100% we know you got it. We're just wondering when you're going to go get it. I don't respond to silly stuff like that, you know.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.